now host Right on Four Corners every Wednesday, 10:30 to 11, when I'll talk to local and regional authors. So please join me Wednesdays here on 90.9 FM KSJE Farmington.
Tune into Turntable Taxi on KSJE Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. Each week, we select a musical style and play 78s, 45s, and 33 RPM records. Some of our themes will include swing music, blues, heart-wrenching torch songs, early rock and roll, girl groups, soul, and R&B.
Robots the size of blood cells, Earth-like planets outside the solar system, science fiction.
No, science faction.
Join us, Seth Shostak and
Molly Bentley and
KSJE Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. for Big Picture Science.
Big Picture Science steps back to get the wide-angle view on science and technology.
So think big. Big Picture Science, Saturdays at 8 a.m.
on KSJE, the information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners.
This program is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, who's expanding its services to offer low-cost blood screenings all year round, now offering walk-in convenience to get the blood tests you want when you want them. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, is available in Farmington at the hospital's laboratory and the Outpatient Diagnostic Center on 30th Street. Also in Aztec at San Juan Health Partners Family Medicine at 120 Llano Street. With nearly 20 tests available, there's an option for everyone. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, a wellness service of San Juan Regional Medical Center. 8:35. KSJE, you're listening to the Scott Michlin Morning Program, and good morning everyone who is listening at 90.9 FM or streaming us online at KSJE.com. Special good morning to our viewers who are watching us live this morning on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We are showing you a photo from the tower cam just a few moments ago in Durango, Colorado, and they are, as you can see, getting plenty of snow this morning. Snow showers in the air in Durango, the current temperature 32 degrees. They're going to see a high today of 36 degrees in Durango, and that is a picture of, looks like the roundhouse at the train station, not too far from the train station in downtown Durango there, as the snow has covered everything in white. Here in Farmington, quite a different scene. We have rain showers in the area and in the forecast. Showers today, throughout the day, off and on. 44 for a high in Farmington today. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 26. Maybe no chances for rain tomorrow, the high 44, but then it kicks up again Thursday night on into Friday, with a low Thursday night of 35, and a chance of rain or snow and cooler weather on Friday with a high of 41, 24 Friday night, and then mostly sunny skies for Saturday and Sunday with highs near 40 degrees. Once again, I'm Scott Michlin, and my guests here with me this morning from San Juan Regional Medical Center. We are talking about the new Care Connect program, the next step in online medical records, and the next step to try to coordinate lots of different systems into one system for us. And Dr. Bob Underwood is here. He's the Chief Medical Officer at San Juan Regional Medical Center. Again, Dr. Underwood, good morning, and thanks for being here.
Morning.
Good to have you with us. Also, Marcia Montoya is here. She works with San Juan Regional Medical Center in the clinical informatics area. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you both for being here this morning. And before the break, Dr. Underwood, I was asking you about money and saving it. And I know there are a lot of any business that's in business any time is looking at ways to save money, be more efficient, and that is no different in healthcare these days, even though we hear a lot about the cost of healthcare.
Correct. And so healthcare savings is, again, kind of was saying before the break, we do world-class care in the United States. It's the best health care that you can get. We don't deliver it in the best possible way. Computers are helping us do that more efficiently in terms of the coordination of care, not duplicating test results for patients, and of course that costs the patient and the insurance company these days, and as well as a greater scheme when we start talking about federal budgets, when we're talking about Medicare, Medicaid dollars, and how that care is being rendered. The other that the computer system is really going to help with is monitoring preventive care, and good preventive care helps alleviate the need for emergency department visits, inpatient stays, which are much more expensive than good preventive care of chronic disease issues, high blood pressure, diabetes, congestive heart failure, COPD, or asthma. If we can treat those effectively on an outpatient basis, and those are big savings over somebody who needs to be admitted to a hospital. We're there for that, but of course the best care is to not have to do that in the first place. The computer system helps us do that because there are parameters that we can monitor for our patients. For a diabetic patient, for example, we follow a hemoglobin A1C. And this computer system is going to be able to help us in the future. If I'm a provider, I can go to the computer and say, okay, show me all of my patients within this particular age group, perhaps, that have diabetes and their hemoglobin A1C is above 8, for example. And then the computer will show that information to me, and then I know to do some outreach to those patients so that we can work on a better management regimen to bring those hemoglobin A1C parameters into the area where they need to be, which in turn prevents complications from happening down the road. Again, huge savings in that, both for the patient, obviously, avoiding unnecessary medical care, but also saving money for the carriers who end up paying for that.
Right. And I would think that some of the revenue grantors to the hospital, federal funds and things like that, they are very interested in outcomes and efficiencies and all these keywords we've been talking about, right?
Absolutely. In fact, the CMS is called the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. That is a federal agency that monitors these things constantly for all of our patients that come through the hospital, whether they're on an ambulatory basis or, in other words, out into the clinics, or patients who actually get admitted to the hospital. They look at hospital-acquired infections. They look at how well-controlled diabetic patients are, how well-controlled hypertensive patients are, and our funding or penalties is directly dependent on how well those things are managed. So yes, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid are very interested in preventive medicine and what we call population health, and there's many, many parameters to population health. But they look at the statistics, not particularly down to a specific patients, but statistically they look at how we perform, reference other hospitals that are similar size, patient population, etc., and through that decide whether or not, through a program that they call value-based purchasing, whether we will get a bonus or a potential penalty based on what our overall Medicare reimbursement is. Somewhat of a complicated formula. Last year in value-based purchasing, we got a bonus, basically, for doing good patient management.
Interesting. And that's data that you have to report to
Absolutely.
These agencies, right?
Absolutely. These are electronic
when they're open, we should say.
Oh, that's right. Federal government shutdown. Right. I think that Medicare and Medicaid are still acquiring data. Now, whether or not they're providing bonuses, I don't know. But yes, absolutely. These things are electronically reported. In fact, that was a mandatory component that came out some years ago, is that you had to have a system that could at least electronically report this massive amounts of data to them. Another thing that will become more efficient with our new system, because that information will be coming from multiple venues.
Marcia Montoya, let me ask you a little bit about, we talked about scheduling during the break a little bit, and this system can help with that as staff is looking at a patient and what they have on their schedule for maybe another test or procedure or what have you?
Correct. So the schedulers, either at a physician's office or within one of the departments, radiology, cardiopulmonary, when they go to schedule a patient, they're actually able to see all of the patient's future appointments, which can do one of two things: allow the patient to avoid being double booked, or allow them to maybe add that test on to a day that they're already scheduled. So makes better use of their time. So because we have that ability, then the schedulers will be able to see everything scheduled within a San Juan Health Partners office or the San Juan Regional System.
So it may not be right directly in their area, but
Correct.
Somewhere else, but they can now see it with this new system, I guess, and try to combine or separate depending on what the patient wants to do and what
Correct.
What the physician wants to do, I suppose.
Correct. And so it'll be helpful for the when we think of our community, there are those patients who who look for a ride to get to an appointment. So if while we have them there, they're able to get multiple appointments done, then it's going to be a great benefit to the community members.
They can combine several healthcare visits into one trip into town kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So, very good. And Dr. Underwood, I guess this would be a boon again to saving money and not duplicating tests and being able to see that this has already been scheduled so you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. The ability to coordinate that, not having the patient come in, it's that coordination of care, duplicative efforts. If the patient is already there and they're there for an x-ray and they're also going to need some blood tests, why not accomplish this all at once? Kind of as Marcia was saying, we at San Juan Regional Medical Center have a huge territory because of the paucity of population. We're often the only hospital choice for people who live hours away. And if they're going to come here, why not get those knocked out while they're here rather than have them travel back on another day?
Right. Some of the other things we talked about during the break was vital signs and being able to ingest, I guess, some of that data. I know that's some of people's favorite time at the hospital when they're woken up at 3 a.m. for a vital sign check or something, right? But this does it somewhat automatically? The equipment does it, right? And then it ingests it into the new system.
Correct. So the equipment, so our blood pressure monitors, ventilators, some of the other ICU equipment will automatically send that data into the system. So it will no longer be a manual entry, which there's always a risk for a transcription error, typing it from one machine to the other.
Right.
And so it will just automatically download into the system.
So the days when nurses' assistants and nurses had your vital signs written on their scrubs because they had to come take your vital signs and then go back to somewhere else to enter that into the chart, those will be gone again. And yes, it's fraught with potential error. A keystroke omission, this isn't dissimilar to the way your smartphone might Bluetooth with something in your own home. These work in a very similar fashion, that the data is there, it populates into the electronic medical record, and it will also be real time.
Interesting. And I suppose if there were still to be some kind of transcription error of some kind of data entry, this system, and I imagine your other ones too, probably shows some kind of warning, or this seems outside the normals range. Do you want to check that number or what have you?
Right. There are alerts around that. And that, again, it comes back to that medical professional, as we were saying before, is, okay, does this make sense for this patient? It's outside of norm. So a normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. So if suddenly you've got a blood pressure of 120 over 8, then you know that that's likely a transcription error. And then you can go in and say, hey, can we go back and re-verify that? Or if it's 100 or say it's 80 over 40, again, that's outside of normal, but is this a real pattern? If that's a serious issue that I as a clinician need to be alerted to, let's go back, re-verify that so we can make some really critical decisions very quickly.
Right. And so in the minutes we have remaining this morning, again, for patients, not a big change, not a big impact for at least their interaction, I guess, with their doctor, with their nurse, with their clinician?
I think, as Marcia said earlier, with registration, a lot of that information is going to be front and center to the person who's doing that data entry. But as far as the clinician interaction and how the clinician is interacting with the computer system, other than it being a little bit faster, the patient themselves probably won't notice much. I will say that as we're learning to use the system and it's going live, we did cut back on some schedules for visits so that the nurses, doctors, et cetera, can kind of come up to speed with that data entry component of what they need to be able to do. But over the course of a week or so, they'll be right back to where they were, if not faster, considering this is a much better system than the one they had been working in.
Gotcha. Marcia, Montoya, are the folks getting the hang of this new system
that
you're working with?
They are. It's a big change, but they are getting used to it, and the system's intuitive, so that also helps. But yeah, I think we're ready.
Okay, that's what Dr. Underwood was saying, that it's a better, more intuitive
Yes.
type of, appearance on the screen.
Correct.
And things like that.
So the older systems are based off of old computer programs. If you guys anybody's out there who remembers the C-DOT prompt that you used
Oh,
to get
sure.
in
Right.
the old system. The appearance of one of our current systems on the inpatient is not dissimilar to that. This is more of a Microsoft Word-based system, and so it has that basic appearance, something that we're all used to using. And so it follows that flow of what I'm used to using: tabs across the top for access to the computer system, and then tabs along the side so I can quickly go to the things that I know I need to access. Our current system does not work that way at all.
Got you. And I would imagine this is designed for mobile devices or tablets or things. If a doctor or someone's carrying something around with them in the hospital, they can access that stuff too?
Yeah, actually, I got a phone call from a physician yesterday who's uploaded the app onto an iPad, their iPhone, and onto a computer, and they can access it through all of those. In fact, they were interfacing their own phone to the electronic medical record in test environment and making sure that it was populating into the iPad application that they had. So dictation, speech recognition is something that we all are kind of used to now with our phones. That's something that is an application that people are going to be able to use their phones for speech recognition, and then it is securely transferred into the electronic medical record as well.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's high speed.
Brave new world out there, isn't it, with healthcare? But again, all of this is to help the patient and help with their outcomes, to get them healthier, faster, and have another set of eyes, even if they're electronic, to kind of monitor their health or raise an alert for a human being.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the other thing is that more efficient care providers. You've all heard of that there's a physician and nurse shortage, and so if we can make them more efficient, then that frees them up to care for other patients that may otherwise have to forego treatment.
Very good. Much good luck with the transition.
Thank you. We're excited.
Midnight
Very excited.
Saturday, everybody. But it is the hospital's new Care Connect program. It is starting 12:01 Saturday morning here in Farmington. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
My guests from San Juan Regional Medical Center here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment. The time right now is 8:51. This program on KSJE is supported by Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, providing a competent, innovative, and caring team of professionals to serve wealth management, trust administration, employee benefit plans, retirement planning, and estate settlement needs. Find out more about Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation at 505